Hey friends, and welcome back to Stronger Every Day. My name's Chrissy. It's great to see you all. Today we are going to talk about 15 ways to help you stay motivated when you're already struggling with depression and anxiety. This can be a challenge on a good day, but when you're already struggling, I feel like it's another level of trying to get things done, be productive, while still giving yourself grace, but being motivated. I feel like it can be confusing. So I kind of do this in a lot of different ways, as far as ways to help you get motivated or ways to help you get through depression. So I looked through some of those and I came up with these. Again, it's 15 ways to stay motivated when you're struggling, whatever that struggle may be. Number one is set small goals. And so for me, this is a big one, because I can see a project and understand that let's just take this. So for our homestead to run, the chicken coop needs to be cleaned out probably once a week. The waters need to be topped off and cleaned out once a week. Topped off more than that, but cleaned out once a week. The goat house needs to be straightened up, checked out, seen if it needs to be done. The yard needs to be mowed. It needs to be weed eated. The house needs to be cleaned. The bills need to be paid. The dogs have to eat. The cats have to eat. We have to eat. We both work full-time jobs. Then you add in trying to spend time with God and really focusing on that. It can be overwhelming. So what I try to say every day is, okay, so today my goal for, let's say, Monday is I'm going to get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, whatever time that might be, and I'm going to read and study. I'm going to get ready. I'm going to listen to my praise and worship music on the way to work. And then when I get home, instead of trying to clean the entire house, I'm going to clean one room of the house, or I'm going to take one task and finish it. Maybe I'm going to dust that day, or maybe I'm going to vacuum, or maybe that day is going to be the day I sit down and do bills. I try to break it down into smaller, more manageable tasks. Now, for me, I like a list. So if I have a list, sometimes it's in my phone, sometimes it's a written list, and something I can check off and feel accomplished. Sometimes people see a list and get overwhelmed. So it's whatever works for you. But it's setting small, manageable goals that will help you get started. Maybe it's something as simple as making your bed, or when you're in the depths of mental illness, it's getting out of bed, brushing your teeth, and taking a shower. Sometimes that is a win in and of itself. So whatever that goal looks like for you, maybe you're trying to run a marathon, and so you're building up to that stamina. So maybe you set a goal of running a mile a week, or whatever that might look like. Maybe you're studying for a test, or maybe your goals are something I can't even imagine. It's just setting a small, manageable goal and getting it done, however often that works for you. The second one is give yourself grace. This is extremely easy for me to do for other people and extremely difficult for me to do for myself. I can tell people in my life, we'll take Nick for an example. He's been dealing with this autoimmune and this tick disease and some other things for 5 months now, and in his mind he should be back 100% and back to normal and running money, doing all the things. That's not life right now. That's not reality. He is still he's maybe 60%, and it's hard for him to understand that that's how it is. It's fine. We'll make it through. It's really easy for me to give other people grace and try to explain to them why they should have grace. But then I look at myself and I'm thinking, well, you've got to do your 100% plus his 40% plus. And so it's easy to get overwhelmed. It's dialing it back and giving yourself grace. Saturday, I spent most of the day alone. Just no TV, no cell phone, no anything, just reading and studying God's Word, pausing and listening for Him. I think I took a nap in the middle of that and then got up and went on with my day. It's giving yourself grace. God doesn't demand that we push ourselves past exhaustion. That's us putting that pressure on ourselves. talk to someone. This is big, because what I want to do, and you may be different, but what I want to do is withdraw and not have anything to do with anyone. Just withdraw into my own little cocoon and not talk to anyone, not see anyone. Now, sometimes I do need that. Sometimes I need to just have no more noise from outside sources. What I'm talking about is when we do that for days, weeks, months, when we withdraw. It's very important to talk to someone. Have that outside person, a good, trusted Christian source who can lead you in the right direction and let you know what you're feeling is okay, what you're thinking is crap from the devil. You are loved. God loves you. I love you. We love you. It's gonna get better. It's just gonna take some time. We are built to have relationships with people. Another one is do something for someone else. You would be surprised when you break your thought pattern of how am I going to do this? How am I going to get this? How's this going to work? How can I make this better? When it's all related to you, when you can break that thought pattern and think, oh, wait a minute, she just had an accident, so maybe I can pay a bill for her, or maybe I can cook dinner for her, or she's without a vehicle, so maybe I can drive her to work a couple times. Whatever that might look like, it's doing something for others. We all know our limits. We all know our funds. We all know what we can and can't do. We're all grown. We can figure that out, but it's changing that mentality and doing something for someone else. Number 5, this is a big one for me, and it's routine. I thrive on routine. It doesn't mean I can't do spontaneous, but on a day-to-day basis, I thrive on routine. It just works better for me. I function better when I don't have to think about it. I referenced it to when you're making a recipe. If you have to constantly check that recipe card, for me, it sucks the joy out of it. I prefer to have recipes that I don't even have to think about. I know what I'm doing. I can throw it all in and cook it and be on my way. Same with having a routine. It's second nature. Takes the anxiety and the thought process out of it. I don't even have to think about it. Routine works for me. Maybe it does not for you. These are just ideas and suggestions to help keep you motivated. You already know when you go to bed at night what the next day is going to look like, and the next day, and the next day. I'm not saying we're not spontaneous and we don't have fun and we don't do things out of that routine, but I mean the day in and day out things. The next one, even if you don't have to, get ready for the day. And I'm not saying if you're a woman getting up and doing a full face of makeup and styling your hair and getting dressed to the nines, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is get out of your pajamas. Brush your teeth. Put some moisturizer on your face. Maybe put a little chapstick on. If you're a man, get up and take a shower. Work on your facial hair, or if you have a beard, whatever that looks like. But getting ready for the day, whatever that looks like for you. And like I said, if it's on a day you're off and you have zero plans of leaving the house, I'm not saying get up and dress to the nines, but get out of your pajamas. Even if it's just in more comfy clothes that aren't pajamas, it just does something mentally and makes you feel better. The next one is lists are good, but don't overdo it. And this kind of ties back into the small goals. I personally like a list. It helps me feel accomplished when I start checking that list off. It also keeps me focused on what I need to do for that day. Understanding that sometimes everything on that list isn't going to get done and it's going to have to wait. I'm fine with that. But list or no list, knowing what you need to get done and getting it done that day. Another one is rewarding yourself. I remember this one's hard for me. I'll spend money on Nick. I'll spend money on the kids. I'll spend money on friends and family. But when it's for me, I really struggle with that one. But I will reward myself occasionally on things that are important to me that I wouldn't ask anyone else to buy me or give me or gift me. But it's setting realistic goals and knowing that maybe at the end of that, when I meet those, that I'll reward myself, understanding that I still need to reward myself in some way, even if I don't meet all those goals. I hope that makes sense. I hope that I'm conveying that properly across. But it's rewarding yourself. Give yourself a reward. Maybe it's a dance party after you're done. Maybe it's a hot hot bath, or maybe it's a mini vacation, or maybe it's a shopping spree, or maybe it's going for a particular item that you want, a particular piece of clothing or shoes or whatever. Giving yourself rewards. Maybe it's spending zero money, but it's lighting a candle, turning on the lights, and reading, or watching a funny movie, or being in your fuzzy pajamas and watching whatever. There's obviously left and right extremes of how much or how little you could do for a reward for yourself. You know what you like. Give yourself that reward. The next one is get outside. And so I know it's getting harder as we're getting into the colder months. Winter is coming. It gets harder to get outside, but even if that's just for a few minutes, there's something beautiful about nature. I love fall, when all of the leaves, in essence, it's a sad time, right? Because all the leaves are dying, but it's something beautiful about that, and knowing that when spring comes, they'll bounce right back. They're kind of going into a rest, and then they'll bounce back. Fresh air sometimes is nice if you can get out. If you're into hiking, go for a hike. If you love going for a drive, roll down the windows and just go for a drive, whatever that might look like. If you garden, or you can be planting your fall garden. I think it might be a smidge late for a fall garden, but you know what I mean. Find a way to get outside and enjoy nature. There's still warm clothes you can wear to go for some hikes and do different things, or maybe it's exercising outside or walking to your neighbor's house. Whatever that looks like, just spend some time outside in the fresh air. One of my favorite things to do is to sit on my back deck and watch my chickens and goats. And I know that's not for everybody, but for me, I love that. I love watching them interact and play and chase and just have fun. The next one is stay away from negativity, and that means activities, people, situations. If you know that one particular person that's in your circle, whether it be family or friends, is constant drama, constant negativity, constant hate, constant mean-spirited, stay away. You're grown. Make the choice, set some boundaries, and stay away. If you have to be in the same room with that person, limit your exposure to them. This is something that Nick and I have had to do on more than one occasion. It's hard, it can be uncomfortable, but it comes down to this, and I've said this before: choose your hard. It's going to be hard to deal and listen and comprehend all of the negative they're saying, or it's going to be maybe a smidge hard and maybe a little uncomfortable to steer clear of them. Pick your hard. We talk about this all the time, but if you know there's a situation coming up, maybe somebody invited you to a party and you know that there's going to be maybe inappropriate situations that you don't need to be involved in, don't go. You don't have to have a reason. This is one thing my boss was telling me the other day. She said, I don't like having to turn someone down for anything. I always want to be helpful. I always want to help people. And she said something had happened, and I was like, I felt so bad because I wasn't able to do it. And she said, do you realize, Chrissy, that you don't have to have a reason to say no? Like, sometimes you can just say no because it's just not something that you want to do. Like, do you realize that that's okay? And I had never thought of it that way. Full transparency, never thought of it that way. Another thing that I have started doing is backing off social media. I don't want to bash social media. That's how we communicate, is via YouTube. I'm not bashing social media, but I am saying that when you're scrolling for hours and hours and hours on whatever platform you're scrolling on, you're seeing things, you're reading things, you're picking up on things. Maybe it's attitudes about, your job, or maybe it's attitudes about your spouse, or maybe it's suggestive things that aren't appropriate for really anyone. Maybe it's anti this or anti that, or pro this or pro that. You can't even watch a football game on TV without somebody bashing somebody on an ad. It is extreme. But paring back, like taking some time back from your social media. I've almost done. I'm thinking hard of doing away with one platform. I'm not on a ton of them, but we'll see how that goes, but I have pared back on it. I'm just tired of all the negativity and all the look at me, and this is, you know, look at my perfect house, and meanwhile these people are $100,000 in debt. You know, it's the comparison game. We've talked about that, you know, comparing your life to someone else's life and not being grateful for what you have. Social media is a good thing if it's not abused, just like many things. There's a lot of good things, but we push them to the point of abusing them. I would suggest, if possible, to limit some of your time on social media. As much as I enjoy you guys hanging out with me, if that means limiting your time here, then limit your time here. I understand that some of you who started with me at the beginning, you know, in 6 months or a year or 10 years, you may not need to really listen to me anymore, and I'm gonna miss you. That's gonna hurt, but it's growing, and hopefully something I've said that God said through me is helping you, and so that you don't need me anymore. You know, that's going to be sad in a way, but it's going to be a beautiful thing, because that means that you've picked up on some of the things God's trying to tell you, and you're coping with things better, and you're moving on. Don't ever feel bad about that. I'll still be praying for you, but don't ever feel bad about that. The next one, and this is a big one, I can definitely tell a big difference when I'm not hydrated. I am a big, huge diet, whatever, drinker. I have to have something. I have something right here with me at all times to drink. It doesn't necessarily matter what it is, but it seems like to me, because we don't really do a ton of bottled water, it seems like to me it's just easiest to grab a soda. And I can feel it in my mind, in my body, I can see it in my skin when I'm not hydrated. I think a lot of us would benefit from drinking more water. And I have to keep reminding myself of that, because it's not something that just comes real easy for me. But make sure you're staying hydrated. That is a big one. The more hydrated I am, the more water that I'm intaking, the better I feel mentally, emotionally. My mind's clearer, my skin's clearer, my wrinkles aren't as noticeable. My body just feels better, my skin's not as dry. Mental clarity, just all the things. So staying hydrated is another one. And when you don't feel good, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to be motivating because you just don't feel good. Staying hydrated does help with that. Another thing is prioritizing sleep. It's very hard to stay motivated when you're exhausted. And having depression and anxiety alone is exhausting. But when you're not getting that sleep, and what I mean by prioritizing is I'm not telling you to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep every day. That's ideal, and for a lot of people that's what they need. Some people can do less, some people need more. That's between you and God, how much sleep you need. What I'm saying is a routine, a schedule. So if you go to bed at 9 o'clock every night and you get up at 5, then you need to go to bed around 9 o'clock every night and get up around 5 o'clock every morning. You know, life's gonna happen, things are gonna happen, and that might change for a day or a week, but having that sleep routine and prioritizing rest and recouping your body from all the things life tends to throw at us. And so sleep is a big one. And I had someone ask me a while back about, you know, how do you sleep better? That can be a struggle. My dad in particular is struggling with sleep, and they've offered him prescription things. Those haven't worked. They've offered him over-the-counter things. That hasn't worked. For me, I have periods where I just can't sleep of insomnia. What I try to do is not force it. I try not to get anxious or mad that I can't go to sleep. I'll read or I'll watch TV, and you just have to kind of make it through the next day. I try not to focus on it. I try not to let it overwhelm me. There's a few things that I have tried that do help some. Are they going to help you? Maybe, maybe not. One of them is the Calm Gummy. It's a sleep gummy. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't. It helps me some. It may help you, it may not. I think all of our bodies are different. One thing that helps me may help you, it may not, and vice versa. So just prioritizing your sleep. The next one is paying attention to what you eat. I can tell, I have arthritis, so I can tell when I eat something sweet that's full of sugar, my hands, my hips, my elbows, my knees, my back all start hurting instantly. Sugar creates inflammation. You can do all the research you want to on it. You know your body, so if you eat something and you just feel completely sluggish and just tired and want to just go home and take a nap, that's your body telling you this is not a good food for me. It's not fueling me. And it's looking at it in the way of, and I struggle with this sometimes, especially when life throws things at you and you get busy. It's more just get something in my body. But viewing food as fuel is a big one. That doesn't mean things can't taste good, because a lot of healthy food does taste good, especially if you know how to make it and you know how to prepare it. I struggle with that. I'm not the best cook, and everything I learned to cook, Nick can't eat anymore. So we're learning, but just prioritizing what you eat, paying attention to what you eat, maybe back off some of the fried things. I'm not telling you, do all protein or all carbs or keto or whatever. I'm not telling you that. I think it's a lifestyle change. I think it's making small things, small decisions over time that help us get better eventually. The last one, and really this should be the first one, is pray. There's always going to be times when you're struggling for motivation. I think we feel like, well, God's not interested in that. God's interested in every single aspect of your life. When you're not feeling motivated, pray. Pray for God to give you energy. Pray for Him to give you strength. Pray for Him to lead you through whatever is coming your way and to keep that motivation going so you can accomplish some tasks. Friends, I hope these 15 help. It's always my heart and hope that you feel this, and I end every video this way. God loves you. I love you. Your friends, your family love you, and we need you here. We'll see you in the next one, friends. Bye.